Hi everybody, my name's Crazy Canuck 1985 and welcome to the course Design 101 videos. I decided to make these just because the designer can be a tricky thing to learn. It's kind of one of those things that are easy to, lay down a few holes, but tough to really master. So with this US Open design competition coming up, and maybe people that are thinking about, giving it a shot, but not quite sure how to use the tools, or maybe there's some people that already know how to use the designer pretty well and maybe want to pick up a few more things, these videos might help you out. So, for episode 1, we're going to start with the basics. Basically how to start from scratch. So when we're building courses in this game, you can auto-generate. So you can just lay down 18 holes, bunkers, greens, everything, make a few touches to them, and you can fire it out in 3 or 4 hours. Not even. Those aren't good courses. For a real top quality course, depending on how skillful you are with the designer, should take you anywhere from, I'd say, 20 hours at the absolute minimum to... Some people have sunk 100, 200 hours into one course. So it all depends on your skill level and your attention to detail. But for my courses, they usually take about 30 or 40 hours. So if they're taking like 5 or 10 hours, they're probably not quite the quality. So let's start from scratch here. So we're going to go into the designer, new course. Still waiting for that harvest theme, but let's do a countryside. So I'm going to show you how to set the options so you can basically create holes with no fairways, no rough, nothing, and then you add them all in manually. So once you get to this screen, this is kind of up to you. I kind of suggest for people just starting out, put quite a few trees down, kind of gives a bit of a framing reference. You don't have to. Like, I could change it up maybe to lots. Now let's do that. Water, it depends. I suggest putting it at 0. And then your hills, I would keep it about the same. We can add in water ourselves, and I'll show you how to do that in a later episode. Okay, so now what we're going to do here, this is the important part. First, it says course holes 18. You want to drop that all the way down to 0, so it will not auto-generate any holes. Course difficulty doesn't really matter. You can put it on medium because we're going to be changing everything anyway. So next, new course, and we have basically just a generated piece of land here. Okay, there's still some, even though we've set the water to 0, there's still some little puddles out there. So we want to fix that. We want to go to terrain, water, and knock it all the way down to 0. Now you don't have to do this, but I like to start kind of with a clean, fresh, straight slate. I'll throw water in afterwards. Okay? So, water, trees we'll just keep the same for now. Hills are relatively low. I suggest doing that, just keeping them low, and then we can do some contouring later. Okay, so final thing we have to do, because right now if we were to lay down a hole, we would get bunkers, green, everything. We don't want that. So here's how you set everything to 0. So we're going to go to layout. Greens first. We got to knock the hazards all the way down to 0. We want to knock the size all the way down to 0. Then we want to go into fairways, width to 0. Also hazards to 0. And then tee and rough. I always take turn the tee furniture off. I don't like having it on there, but that's up to you. Width, 0. So now we have 0 rough. So I'm going to lay down a hole here, and we're going to see what happens. So I'm going to want to start with kind of a nice long par 4. Oop, can't play it. So we're going to create holes. So I don't know, this seems like an okay place to start right here. So there we go. I'm going to make a bit of a dog leg left here, I think. So we'll go there, and we'll make it fairly long. We'll make it about a 465-yard hole. And then I drop it, and There we go. So all we have now is T and green. Now if you want, you can also drop this heavy rough width all the way down to 0 too, which I like to do. So now all you've got is a T box and a green. Alright, so now we have the very, very basic framework to get started on the course. In the next episode, we're going to go through how to make greens.